can't keep this a secret. This was initially an internal document that we had here for training for our teams. It's a list of 12 fun facts about Amazon FBA, and it's based on us spending $15 million a year across hundreds of up and coming Amazon Seller Central accounts. We've just seen what's working. Right? We have access to so much data that these patterns start jumping out. And a lot of them are surprising and weird and counterintuitive. And I think those are summed up really nicely by some of these points. And I wanted to share them with you today. So again, we're declassifying this. Let's get this into your hands so that you can use this information to make more money. The first one, which obviously leads to you making a lot more money, is switching to Amazon FBA. If you send your products into Amazon FBA fulfillment centers instead of using FBM and sending those products to the end customer yourself, they will, Amazon will thank you by increasing your sales by 20 to 30% on average. That's just what we've seen, again, from across hundreds of accounts. It is because a lot of people that are on Amazon, roughly 65%, as we'll see, of American households have Prime memberships, and so they're looking for that Prime shipping, that 1 day, that 2 day Prime shipping that they're used to. They're acclimatized to that, and so you'll lose a lot of sales if you do not use FBA. There are exceptions, of course. If you have a big, heavy, bulky, or dangerous, or very fragile product that you may have to ship through FBM, ship yourself through your own means, definitely do that. It's case dependent. But for most products that are durable, don't have a really short shelf life, are shoebox sized or thereabouts, it makes sense to use FBA. I don't know why you wouldn't at this point. There's not really anything to lose, and it actually makes the business more operationally hands off as well, which is always nice for the owner. So that's a good thing to consider. Human faces increase listing conversion rates, sometimes dramatically. This is because shoppers transpose themselves onto the listings. When you're thinking about buying something, we don't want to force shoppers to go through all of this extra friction, making them do all this extra thinking. We don't want to put them through a thought process. If they see just a photo of a product on white, we don't want to have them imagine how they're going to use it, imagine what room it's going to go in, imagine what time of day they're going to use it, imagine what their emotions will be like when they get this or gift this. We want them to not have to do that mental gymnastics. We want to show them exactly what the benefit is going to be, preferably with someone in the same psychographic demographic, so that they go, oh, okay, that's obviously how I would use it. That's the benefit I'm going to get. Okay, cool. I feel comfortable buying this product. And that's what faces do when you put them in the listing. This doesn't have to be a high budget Hollywood production. You can have a model from a website like unsplash.com. They have free photos that you can use for commercial use. You can put human faces in your listing for cheap on splash.com. No affiliation. I've just used it before, and we have a paid subscription to some of these stock photo websites now. But in the beginning, especially if you're on a budget, this is just fine. Minimum conversion rate that we look for is 10%. So if you're coming from like a Shopify or an e-commerce background, 10% might seem like a super high number, but on Amazon it's actually not, because people have their credit cards on file and they know Amazon and they trust Amazon. That's kind of what you're paying for as the seller to be on the platform as well. So what we look for at a minimum is a 10% conversion rate. You send 10 people a listing through ads or through organic traffic, you should get one sale. One sale for 10 sessions, minimum, right? Preferably more. We see a lot of listings now converting at 20, 30, 40, even 50%, right? Which is wild. But, we consider listings with under 10% conversion rate to have something wrong with them and are in need of immediate intervention as far as listing optimization goes. Similarly, if we're talking conversion rates fall off a cliff if you have a product with under 4.5-star review averages. That just seems to be the case. People don't trust it. Anything from 4.5 to 5 tends to perform somewhat the same. In fact, we have anecdotal evidence that people don't trust products with full 5-star ratings because they haven't been, put through that rigorous testing. It seems that's the perception anyway. But anything below 4.5 stars, the rating starts to suffer. Even if you have to take a couple months off, go rework the product on a fundamental level, that'll still make you more money in the long term because you're better serving more customers on average. There's a saying, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. It's one of those cases here. A 4-to-1 markup. Okay, this is a serious one. If you could just take away one from this list, I would definitely do this. If it's costing you, $10 to make and custom brand, manufacture, source the materials, plus shipping to Amazon FBA, if it costs you $10 to do all that, that's called your landed COGS, landed cost of goods sold. If all that stuff costs you $10, sell that product for $40. At least, again, at least. If you can sell it for 50 or 60, even better. My goodness, even better. But 40, we'll take 40. All right. This is because many sellers have profit as an afterthought. They're like, well, let me just get revenue, and then on the back end, I'll make what I make in terms of profit. But if you study some of these profit first methodologies, there's literally a book called Profit First that I recommend on this. Um, have your margins in mind prior to selling. If you can't sell stuff for this 4-to-1 markup, don't sell it. I wouldn't, right? Because there's too many Amazon fees these days. There's too many costs in terms of advertising, and over recent events with shipping and supply chain stuff, like those costs all went up. You have to be kind of weatherproof when it comes to costs, and a way to do that is to bake that into the equation from the start, i.e. a 4-to-1 market minimum. The 80/20 rule, it's everywhere, and Amazon's no exception, right? 20% of your products are going to produce 80% of your revenue, and 20% of your Amazon advertising campaigns are going to produce 80% of your Amazon advertising revenue. This is a phenomenon to be managed, not to be overcome or beaten. It's the basic physics of the arena that we're in here on Amazon. So instead of, a lot of sellers will try to fight against gravity here and say, well, I'm going to, try to point my ad campaigns towards my worst selling products, or I'm going to try to optimize my worst listings. You can, but it's just energy spent in a place where it doesn't need to be. You can spend energy, maybe even less energy, on your top performers and get even more results as a result. Because the question is always like, what's working, and then let's do more of that. That's the basic algorithm for success. If you are getting any positive signal from any product, allocate more time there. Makes total sense. A lot has been said about ranking and how it works, but here's a simple, boiled down formula that some people may be charging money for. I hope they're not, but I have evidence to indicate the contrary. If you want to rank on page one for keywords, there's three things: make more sales in the listing above you for a consecutive period of time. 7 to 8 days is just fine for most keywords, with better customer satisfaction. So better seller feedback, better reviews, lower return rates. That's it. That's all. If you do that, you will rank higher, I guarantee. And you know, and with that ranking comes more sales. How many more sales exactly? Well, I'm glad you asked. That brings us to this point, that 70% of the sales are made on the first page, which is wild, which means that pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, all those guys are splitting. They're fighting over the table scraps of the remaining 30%, which is wild. That's a huge discrepancy, almost an 80/20-ish type of discrepancy. And you know, it's not fair per se, but at the same time, I just gave you the keyword ranking formula, so you can rank for those keywords while other people have not understood it. But because you're watching this, you now understand, and you can do that. I'll also drop a free book in the comments of this video, just so that you have it. It's a full game plan on how to rank, how to be profitable, how to do all this stuff. I'll drop it in the comments of this video to be pinned. It's totally free, and that's there for you as a resource as well, because we can only talk about so much in this video. One of the largest Amazon sellers went bankrupt, $500 million a year. These guys, the company is called PharmaPacks. Just look it up. But it's a supplement company, or was. They were doing super, super well in terms of revenue. They had a dream life that many sellers on the surface, they would trade their entire business and then some to own this business, PharmaPacks. $500 million a year in revenue. Can you imagine? But underneath the surface, as it turns out, after the paperwork came out, my goodness, they were not profitable. And they were trying, to the best of their ability, from what I understand, to scale up the revenue and scale the costs slower. But they just couldn't quite catch that train, and the business went under. But they had keyword ranking, they had revenue, they had products selling well, they had all this stuff, but the one thing that wasn't there was the profit, and that caused the whole business to go away. So again, just profit is king on Amazon, but people won't talk about it. I don't know why, but that's so important. About Amazon's market share a little bit and what we can expect in the future. 65% of all American households now have Amazon Prime memberships, which is wild. Can you think of another service with two-thirds U.S. household market penetration? It's pretty impressive, very impressive indeed. I will say. And what this means basically is that there's so much trust on the Amazon platform that you can basically sell on there, and that's why we have those minimum 10% conversion rate standards. That's why that exists. Right? 60% of all units sold on Amazon are from these independent third-party sellers, which is again a huge revelation. And this number, if you see on this graph here, this is only increasing. So if this trajectory keeps up, we could see, a 70, 80%, dominance by these third-party sellers, which is great news because it means that, really anyone, the husband and wife with, a new generation of soap, a couple guys with a new version of some bottled water. If you think that's dumb, look up Liquid Death, and it happened recently. um, but yeah, thinking about uh, how many third-party sellers are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year now. It's mind-blowing, and so if they can do it, you can do it too. However, equally interesting, still only 20% of all retail sales come from e-commerce, which means that 80% thereabouts of all of the just stuff sold in a single year worldwide is still coming from physical retail stores. I suppose it makes sense if you think about how many people are shopping at Target and at Amazon and at Best Buy and at local, retailers, at Walgreens, all these places. So that's still most of retail. People say that e-commerce is hot and it's coming up, and all that's true. But by the numbers, 80% of all dollars spent are still spent in physical stores. So it's still the first inning for e-commerce. If you look at places where the consumer adoption tends to be a little bit ahead of the curve, like in Asia, ahead of the curve of the Western world, this number is closer to 30, 35% in some places. So that's what we have to look forward to as e-commerce sellers, right? So if you get in now, you will enjoy the growth and you can enjoy this ride on the way up. This is a growing industry to be in, and so it's good for that reason. Average cost per click on Amazon, similarly, around 85 cents. On Google and Facebook, it's $1, $2. That's normal. On Amazon, it's still much cheaper. So it's a good time to advertise as well. Um, and lastly, here, Amazon.com is the world's largest Amazon marketplace, but Amazon.de in Germany is the second largest. Now, having said that, does it really make sense to expand to Amazon.de if you're starting on Amazon.com? Probably not. You're better off going through the NARF program, NARF, and expanding to Amazon Canada and Amazon Mexico first, and then maybe Amazon UK after that. Takos we'll cover in a future video. And again, I've written you a full comprehensive walkthrough because we can only talk about so much here with all of our secrets, all that good stuff. I'll drop that in the comments of this video, and I'll see you on the other side. Go get your copy and see you soon.